The motorsports world is where legends are made, the unthinkable happens, and barriers are broken. One man harnesses the power of an industry every week. This is the General Tire Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris RZR, with Jim Beaver.
Welcome to this week's General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver here. I am back from Moab. Yes, a place, I don't even know how to explain Moab other than to say that this place, if you're a religious person, is like spiritual. I don't know. Maybe it's the spiritual birthplace of off-road. I don't know. Moab is absolutely insane. I'm going to be talking a ton about that trip here on the show. I had a lot of fun out there. Tiffany Stone's been there. We're actually going to kick off the show with her in the next segment, bringing her into the first hour. So, it should be a hell of a lot of fun. But, Moab, absolutely mind blown. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to have Chris Leone here on the show this week for Power Rankings. We got a lot going on in the world of NASCAR, world of off-road. Formula One, just a lot going on in the world of motorsports. So we're going to dive into Power Rankings. Then I got a very special guest. Obviously, Fistful of Bourbon is a big partner on this show as well as my esports program. I have Anthony Bollinger. He is a brand ambassador for Fistful of Bourbon, a hella funny guy. He's got a hilarious Instagram. He's going to be on the show. We're going to talk a little bit about bourbon, alcohol, tell some funny stories, and have a lot of fun. So, we are going to have some booze talk here on the show today. So, strap in. It's going to be one hell of a 2-hour show right here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We've got, I got a segment in hour number 2, too. I think we're going to dive into some fan questions. So, we haven't done a segment like that in a few weeks. So, at JimBeaver15 on social media. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, any of those other places. If you got a fan question, please plug them into the show. If some reason I miss it, I promise I will get that answered on a future show. So I do bank all those questions, and we get those answered. So, yes, the one thing we won't be talking about today, though, I can promise I have made it almost 10 years now, a complete statement. The first week of November, we will not talk about this damn election. That is my promise to you. So if you're looking to escape the madness that is happening in the world, right here on this show, that is your place to do it. We're going to have a hell of a lot of fun today, and we'll be back right after this break on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. It's going to be a lot of fun. Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance responsiveness and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RZRLife to share your story.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
From the 2018 Master Distillers of the Year comes a bold new American whiskey and fistful of bourbon. Their whiskeys have been award-winning for generations. Now they're going all in on bourbon, blending 5 straight whiskeys to create a big balanced bourbon that stands apart from everything else. So grab yourself a fistful of bourbon, a blend of 5 bourbons created with over 100 years of whiskey blending experience. It ain't just a bourbon, it's a damn fistful. Please enjoy responsibly.
When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We are coming out swinging today. We got my good friend, partner in crime, Tiffany Stone, to kick things off on today's show. We also, here in hour number 1 on SiriusXM Channel 211, we've got... he goes on Instagram by Fistful of Terry. That is Anthony Bollinger. He is a brand ambassador for Fistful of Bourbon. He's also a bartender, and he likes to have one hell of a good time. So that's coming up here in hour number 1 as well. So welcome to everybody tuning in on SiriusXM Channel 211. Jim Beaver here, along with Tiffany Stone. T-Stone, right now, you and I should be in Las Vegas. We should be doing this show from the floor of the SEMA show like we've done the last couple of years. And I got to tell you, it's kind of weird being in the studio talking to you on the phone right now instead of us actually physically being in Las Vegas.
No, I agree with it. And, you know, you, myself, everybody that's in the industry, regardless of where you are in the automotive off-road industry, people have been doing throwbacks and posting old photos. And I feel like it's a 50-50 mix. People who have to work at the booth the entire week from open to close, the 8 hours plus a day, they're like, no, I don't miss this at all. And then people like you and me, who we kind of just hop around, we kind of do our thing. We, don't specifically stay at a booth. We're like, man, we really miss this. So it's, some people are super excited about it. Some people are happy not to be there. I'm kind of sad because it's a good place for somebody to see all your industry friends, go out and eat with them, catch up with them, do different things. There's tons of different parties going on. So I'm kind of sad about it because it's always a good time. And it's right after my trail to SEMA, which we also didn't do this year. So it's kind of a cool, just, intense obstacles and trail riding for 7 to 10 days straight. And then you kind of get to relax. But I miss all of it.
Yeah, Off-Road Hall of Fame's been delayed, like everything. It's kind of crazy. And it's funny because SEMA and I have a love-hate relationship with SEMA. Like, nothing inherently, bad about it. But, man, it's so claustrophobic with all the people and the lines and the security. And and I got to the point with SEMA where I'm just like, yeah, I thought for sure, I'm good with not going to SEMA. I'm looking forward to not having to go to SEMA this year, and I was thinking that all through this pandemic. And then I get to SEMA week, and I'm like, yeah, just kind of feels a little off not being at SEMA. But I think the one that's going to hit home for me the most is my favorite trade show of the year. I absolutely love PRI show in Indy. It's more racing related. It's right before the holidays. Indianapolis is decorated for Christmas. It's just a happy, good, feel good, trade show. And I think I'm really going to miss not being at PRI in December, probably most of all. But I don't know. It is kind of weird. But that being said, I got to say, I actually went out to Moab last week, Tiff. First time. I'd driven through there once before, but never actually hit trails. Spent a couple of days out there with Vision Wheel at the Moab 4x4 Expo. Got to see the new Bronco. We'll talk about that in a minute. But more importantly, I actually got out into the rocks, Tiff, and I got to tell you, I fell in love with Moab. I know you've been to Moab before. You love it, but as a first-timer, I got to tell you, Tiff, this was absolutely insane. I'm like, I don't even know how to put Moab into perspective to people until you just got to go and feel it and experience it because it's surreal.
No, exactly. And what people don't understand is there's tons of slick rock out there, which doesn't mean that the rocks are slick. You are super grippy. I run the, a BFG, and that's the only tire I've ever run, but like you feel invincible. Like you literally feel, because everything is grippy, everything sticks. You just feel like you can do everything. It's also just like Sand Hollow as well, but it's just an incredible feeling. I love it. The views are great. I've only spent a few days there on a Trail of SEMA little hit, but other than that, it's amazing. I really do enjoy being out there. I wish I could have been out there with you guys, but with work schedule and all of that, it was difficult. But that makes me super excited for EJS, which means then you're going to probably have to come up for EJS for a few. I know Vision Wheel will definitely probably be there as well, so we can go take our rigs out. But I heard you did something pretty crazy out there that people didn't expect you to do. I'll let you tell that story because obviously you tell it a lot better, but you were so stoked about it that you actually called me on your way home, and you were like, listen to what I did.
Yeah, so we were on, I can't even remember the trail at this point for some odd reason, but...
Oh, fins and things.
Fins and things, right? And, so we get to this one spot, and everybody's like, it's a mellow trail, and I was like, okay, whatever. And everybody peeled off. We had a RZR, and I was in my Super Duty F250 long bed, or not long bed, excuse me, but crew cab 4-wheel drive, and it's got a 2-inch spacer kit on the front with 35s, and I start going along, and this trail's easy, and then there's like this last turnaround point. It goes, turn around if you don't want to go any farther. It's one-way traffic after this. Okay, whatever. We had some people peel off, and so I go, and I start going, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, this is getting interesting. It got a little bit worse, and got a little bit worse, and a little bit worse, and, I just picked my way through in my truck, and it was fine. And, we're literally about 3/4 of a mile from the end of the trail, and we get to this spot, and the guy in the RZR was up ahead, and he was kind of scouting things, and we get to this spot, and I was like, oh, man, and I get out of the truck, and I hear these guys laughing at the bottom of this hill, and I was like, oh, man, I walk up. It's like full on. There's like a waterfall at the bottom. It's rugged. This is straight up like King of the Hammer style, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, so I can either backtrack 5 miles through the rocks when you're not even supposed to. And there was some gnarly stuff that I really didn't want to go back through, and it's getting dark. I said, or I can go off this, and I'm like, I need to really, like, I started scouting and really looking, things like that. Meanwhile, a bunch of Jeeps pull up and, and they're like, what's this big Ford doing here? And, I was like, well, I'm just out having some fun. And they're like, you can't have that out here. And they're like, what are you going to do? You can't go down that with that. And, they really like started, this and that. And I was kind of up in the air whether I wanted to try it or not. And they go down and they're scraping up their Jeeps and all kinds of stuff. They get to the bottom, and there's one lady, and she was like in her 60s, and she was nasty. And if she hears this, I want her to know she was a nasty human being. But she started literally like trying to argue, like, you can't do that. You don't even have the right pressure in your tires. That truck can't go down here. It can't do this. It can't do that. And, and it was like one of those, like, finally I was like, nah, I'm doing this. Like, I was pissed at that point. So air down my tires. I got this huge F250 crew cab 4-wheel drive, and I get a spotter, and I start going down this thing, picking my way through. And I got running boards on this thing and everything, keep in mind. And I start kind of picking my way through, and there's this kink at the bottom and kind of a little waterfall, and I threaded the needle, hit it just right, boom, went down like butter, didn't put one scratch on the truck, nothing, and everybody was just like mind blown, like, what the hell just happened? This guy took an F-250 down this nasty-ass trail and didn't even put a ding on the truck. So, yeah, it was fun. I can honestly say I will never take that truck down that trail again. Because it's not going to work out that well the second time. You get lucky once, but not necessarily twice. But I had a hell of a good time anyways, T-Stone. We got video of it. We're editing it together because it was one of those where we knew, all right, this is going to go viral on the internet one way or another. Either you're going to be a hero or you're going to be a zero, but either way, it's going viral. So we had like 3 cameras rolling at all these different angles and stuff like that. So, yeah, video will drop at some point. We just got to get the thing edited up. But, yeah, that was my Moab experience. So
no, that's awesome. And that's the thing that you're going to start to realize. Everybody's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And this is what I try to tell everybody. I'm still a novice. I not claim to be the best rock crawler in the world. Like, I have experience on tons of different terrain, sand dunes, this, and I will be the first to say that I'm not the best out there. But I will say this, rock crawling, a lot of it is driver talent, just like anything else. It's, do you want to finesse it and do you want to take the correct lines and can you get it up there? Sure. Or do you want to just have a bunch of whoop-pow and just, push it? And of course, you'll just rock bounce it out there. You may break, your rear drive shaft. You may break, a bushing or something, but that's up to you. And I think what people fail to realize is no matter how much you build up your rig, if you can't drive it, it doesn't matter. You can have the best of the best. You could have a great lift, a great suspension, great shocks, great long arms, great, control arms and all this other stuff. But if you don't drive correctly, it doesn't matter. And every time we go out on the trails with Ian Johnson, which he's a fantastic rock crawler, builds amazing rigs and stuff like that, Ian always says, I never rate any trails. Do you want to know why? And he always calls me Miss Tiffany Stone, Miss Tiffany Stone. He's like, because for me, that could be a 3, but for Tiffany, that could be a 10 or 11. It's all based on your knowledge. It's all based on seat time, and it's based on experience. So for those people and that nasty lady out there for telling you that you can't do it, maybe she couldn't do it, and that's why. Or maybe, because they don't want people to clog up the trails or the obstacles. But everybody's out there having fun. That's the whole point of it. Once you start getting really nasty and once you start getting mean, and my favorite, non-favorite thing that I always hear is when people are like, hit it with your purse. I'm like, Jesus, guys, like, are we really going to act like this? Like, we're not going to just all understand that we're out here for the love of being out in nature and rock crawling and going out on trails and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lately, there just feels like there's so much hatred in the world that people just need to take a moment to relax.
Well, and speaking of taking a moment to relax, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with more after this on the Gentle Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. Don't just shred your way through any off-road rugged terrain. Get into gear with GSP XTV and let us redefine your adventure. The GSP advantage of quality and performance sets a standard for UTV axles. We strive to provide premium ATV and UTV axles to keep you shreddy ready. Kick up some dirt and get in the driver's seat with GSP XTV. With over 35 years of experience, drive with a company you can trust. Drive with GSP. For more information, please visit us at gspxtv.com today.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Hour number 1 here on Sirius XM, Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio, Sports Byline. All of our listeners in the U.S. military, the U.S. American Forces Network, thank you guys for everything you do for our country and for tuning in overseas. Podcast One. Where else are we? Apple Podcast, downanddirtyshow.com. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Right now we're talking a little bit about Moab and my experience last week out there. But I do have to say I came home from Moab to a cool little package here, and I got a nice long-sleeve T-Stone Enterprises shirt. So, T-Stone, your apparel game's on point.
Thank you. And the thing is like I printed out the label for a small box. But I didn't realize that I had to stuff that in there. And I was like, you know what? And you know what really makes me upset, Jim? And I totally forgot this. I have your birthday gift that I could have just put it in a medium-sized box and with your birthday gift. So I'll have to resend, and I've got some new other things coming out. So you want to become a male model, snap me a photo, and then I can put it up there on that. But tons of goodies coming out. And speaking of your birthday gift, I actually did that on Halloween, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy that for your birthday in December.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah, I was actually like, because I knew you were sending me a shirt, and I kind of forgot about the game, but I was looking at that, and I went, I got that, and I was like, what is she stuff in this box? Like, it took some it took some talent to get that shirt in that little box. Like, I'm just saying, Tiff, like, Maybe holidays, some of these companies, what is it, like the department stores, Nordstroms and places like that, like Dillard's, I'm sure you could get a job like wrapping gifts and packing boxes because, like, you could save them a lot of money, man. That takes some talent. Meanwhile, you get a package from Amazon and you order like a pair of socks from Amazon and they put it in this box that's like, 2 foot by 2 foot or something like that. And you're like, what did I order from Amazon? You open it up and it's all this foam and one pair of socks or something,
No, exactly. That's pretty much like what it was. But once I have some new stuff, the T-Stone light shirts are coming, beanies are coming, different patches. I made a new logo, like design little logo of a devil girl, and I didn't tell everybody yet, so I'll tell you, but I was asking for suggestions of names, and one of my followers, well, actually 2 of the followers both said that I should call her Lucy for like Lucifer and stuff. So the little devil girl's name's going to be Lucy, and she's a part of the Little Stoners group. So who's ever, following or a fan, or if you like me, those are all my little stoners now. So it's fun. It's just moving along greatly. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it makes you some side money. So I was just looking at something. I know, I think your last big event of the year, you got Olympus Rally coming up, right, next week?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just looking. Have you looked at the weather reports for next week and next weekend, Tiff?
Nope. Is it supposed to snow?
Well, it's supposed to be a high of 48 degrees for the entire, all of next week through next weekend. But the kicker is, starting about Tuesday, all the way through the weekend, it's supposed to rain nonstop.
All right. Well, I better pack some boots then, and I better pack some warm clothes. I haven't even looked at it, which is it's crazy because my last trip I was in Arizona, and it was for Barrett Jackson, and it was incredibly warm for what it was in there. So I guess I deserve this a little bit now, but
yeah. I'm just looking
not
at
looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it wondering, that's a lot of rain. And obviously, people in Washington are used to rain. Raleigh has run in the rain before, but we're talking massive amounts of rain here. Like, it gets to the point where things are kind of wet and tacky, and then it gets to the point where you're actually rallying in mud. And I don't know the roads up there super well. I've only been to that rally twice, and obviously I think they change them here and there. But I think it could make for some interesting muddy conditions up there.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is because we've pushed it back. So normally it's going to be in early spring when the weather is not that. I'm not sure if the leaves have fallen, but anytime that leaves fallen on the old logging roads or the roads that they use for the rally, that could make things a little slick. That could change a lot of stuff. And with the rain that you're talking about, even because the race isn't going to be until Saturday, or the rally, isn't going to be till Friday or Saturday. And they still do recce and everything before, but you got to think about it. All the notes that you take in recce may not be the same thing that you see the next day. And I know that everybody in the desert is very familiar to that same thing. Just because lap 1 was one way doesn't mean lap 2 is going to be the same way. You'll see a lot of different ruts. You might see a bunch of not boulders, but rocks popping out here and there, especially with runoff. The roads are really cool. They're crazy a little bit, some tight narrows. But other than that, having it have some runoff and some ruts could really change the game for a lot of people. You're going to have really, really good notes, and the weather is just going to be different. Cooler temps, the cars run a little faster, they run a little better. So it could be completely different. Whatever recce notes that you usually have from previous years probably won't be the same.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be an interesting story heading into this one. Like you said, I don't know the history of the rally. I mean, I know it was a WRC round back in the day, things like that. But, I don't know. To me, it's always kind of been in that same window. And I wonder how that's going to affect things. Like you said, different weather, different, roads in Washington are completely different depending on the times of the year. So, all the previous notes a lot of these drivers have, things like that, a lot of it could be out the window. This is actually shaping up to be a very interesting rally. And I know we haven't talked a lot of stage rally on the show this year, but this has got me it's piqued my interest going into this, going, all right, like this is going to be, we could see possibly a surprise winner here. And actually, there's a lot of really fast competitors that are from the Northwest that, only run, say, this rally in Oregon and things like that, or they've been sneaking out on the roads and really doing their homework prior to. And Like, I don't know. This is gonna be fun, Tiff.
No, I'm super excited. We'll definitely have to catch up the week after the rally, because it's not this weekend, it's next weekend. So in a few weeks, we should catch up about it, talk about how crazy it was, because I bet you there's going to be some surprising things out there. Obviously, it's the last for the championship run as well. So it's been a little bit crazy with the COVID, with everything that's been going on. You know, we haven't really had Parc Exposé or Parc Fermé or any of those things. We haven't really had a podium, you know, trying to keep it there. So it's been a weird situation for everything kind of involved. And with you and myself working in so many different forms of motorsports as well, we kind of just roll with the punches, see kind of what happens. But hopefully everything will get back to normal in 2021. And speaking of that, this is kind of switching lanes a little bit. The Mint 400 released some crazy information about 2021 now. You know, the way you register on November 10th is the way you will be qualifying and your start position for race day.
Yeah, I know it's got me going to be. I'm going to be on the internet at the minute it pops up, so I can go and click the button and get registered for qualifying. But no, and I know next week, actually, you didn't even know about this, but I talked with Josh and Matt Martelli. We're working on something for next week. I know we're going to have both the Martelli brothers on the show to talk, and actually they even have a lot more information that's not public yet that they're going to release on the show. And we might be working on a potential live stream where we do a live Zoom call on the internet. You know, so people can kind of, you know, and do it live on their Facebook, because they have a lot of information in regards to the Mint they want to get out, that it's going to get people really excited. They've gone and done their homework. They saw how things happen this year. They realized that next year probably things are going to be in certain capacity similar to this year. So they've got a lot of good ideas and a lot of info they want to get out there. So I know we're going to have definitely an off-road heavy show next week on the show.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that, like I said, I was switching a little bit, but I just thought that was quite interesting. I feel like it's like everybody's going to be waiting on the computer. You know, when like back in the day when iPhones were coming out or whatnot, or something was coming out, or Black Friday sales or whatnot, or Cyber Monday, you're like, all right, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to wait because it's going to happen. And then I remember doing those things back in the day, and you're like, all right, click, I got it. And then your page refresh, and it's like, please refresh your page. You're like, So I feel like everybody's going to be super excited. I feel bad that I'm already like washed 2020. I'm like, I'm ready for 2021. I'm ready for King of the Hammers. Hopefully that's still going to happen. I mean, we're in the middle of the desert. There's no closed areas. So hopefully it'll still be good.
Yeah, I know I had a meeting with Dave Cole and Ryan Thomas there at Crandon in regards to KOH, and Dave had said they have some processes in place. He goes, King of the Hammers will 1,000% happen. It will 1,000% happen with spectators and with Hammertown. And they're to the point where if they have to daily test every single person through the gate, they will, in order, you know, for COVID, in order to make this deal happen. So, you know, I got I guarantee you King of the Hammers is going on. I mean, you know, Dave Cole doesn't guarantee much, but when you hear that, like, okay, I believe Dave Cole, you know, he's a very smart businessman, and he's not going to commit to something unless he knows he can deliver. And, you know, I heard that come out of his lips, so it's got me very excited about KOH and next year. But we are going to have to say goodbye, Tiff, because, we are up against the time break. We got a big guest coming up in the next segment. Anthony Bollinger with Fistful of Bourbon. He is a brand ambassador for the biggest, baddest bourbon brand on the planet, and he's going to be on the show coming up after this break when we return right here to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by, you guessed it, Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
I'd like to welcome my next guest to the show, Anthony Bollinger, also a.k.a. Fistful of Terry on Instagram. How's everything going, my friend?
Fistful of Terry here. What's up, Jim? Everything's going great.
Well, I want to talk about Fistful of Terry because your Instagram is quite humorous. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, both of us, love our fistful of bourbon. But I got to ask you, man, your Instagram is cracking me up. I know. I think one of the most recent ones I saw, you were blindfolded making drinks, and it didn't quite work out so well for you, man.
Yeah, you know what? Then social media is king right now, and as most of us are sitting at home and trying to have some fun and make a little levity out of the situation. And I kind of go off the cuff, go on the fly, and just try to see what people would like to have fun with. And I decided to make a whiskey sour, just proving how easy it is to work with Fistful of Bourbon. And obviously I was making a joke and did it all blindfolded, and the cocktail was awful.
Yeah, well, I know you've on your Insta, you've poured drinks with no hands and things like that. It's I don't know, you definitely have some fun with it, man.
Yeah, man, just trying. At the end of the day, we're just trying to have fun, make people laugh, and give people some hope,
Yeah, well, that being said, I did actually a little bit of internet stalking on you, which I always got to do for guests, right? And there's a funny story that popped up. So I want to kind of go back into your history. We're definitely going to talk a lot about Fistful of Bourbon today. But I want to go back into your history, and your start in bartending was a little bit rocky because I read a story about you, somebody ordering like a Kettle 7, and you gave them like a... you gave him his part vodka, part bourbon. Like, dude, I mean, tell us your history here because it sounds like you got a pretty rocky start to your time in bartending in the liquor industry.
Yeah, I mean, that started back in 2000. I mean, I was always in the bars, doing work in the bars back in 2000. But my brother's friend opened a bar in Hoboken, New Jersey around, I think, 2008, 2009. And I got asked to either do, and I was doing construction at the time, and they were like, we need a doorman. I was kind of a bigger guy. And I was like, yeah, I'll do the door. But they were like, we need a bartender too. And I was like, you know what? All my friends make more money than me bartending. Let me try that out. And there was no training. They just throw you back there. And, you know, and the story you're talking about, I'm sitting behind the bar my first night, and my brother's friend orders a Kettle 7. And I knew what Kettle was. I didn't know what 7 was. I knew nothing. And I grabbed a bottle of Kettle, grabbed a tall glass, filled it with ice. And I was trying to figure out what the 7 was. Like, I think I saw a bottle of Seagram 7 on the wall. So I just kind of picked the Seagram 7 up, the Kettle, and free poured it all the way to the top, handed it to my brother's friend, and just kind of turned my back and polished glasses, waiting for him to sip it for some sort of approval. And, you know, he wasn't sipping it. He was like, kept talking and kept watching. And then all of a sudden he took a sip and pretty much spit it out, and they pretty much berated me for the next couple hours.
Oh, man, that's funny. Well, fast forward now, and you're working with Fistful of Bourbon. What takes you from there to where you're at, man? Because I know you're brand ambassador for Fistful of Bourbon. Kind of give us a backstory, because I for some odd reason, I don't know your full story, but I got to think you got a pretty hell of a career here in in the bar industry and the liquor industry.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I kind of took some chances. Like I said, I started working in that bar in Hoboken, and I had a really good a good background of working very hard, whatever I did. So when someone found out I was bartending, I used to do some work for them doing security. They were like, hey, we're opening a restaurant in Miami. Would you like to do the bar program? And obviously I was not suitable to do that whatsoever. I had no experience, but I know fake it till you make it sort of thing. So I packed up my stuff, drove down to Miami, started working at this bar, still had no idea what was working at a restaurant, still had no idea what I was doing. But busted my ass, learned everything, literally built the bar that in the restaurant that I was working at as well. And caught an eye of a really good chef. They brought me out to Aspen to do the Food and Wine Classic. Then I got hired to do the restaurants with food and wine. Did that for about 4 or 5 years. Went to New York, started bartending in bars. Was part of the James Beard award-winning program in Maison Premier in 2016. Left there in 2017. Started working for Sailor Jerry Spiced Rum as the East Coast ambassador. And then when we were launching this new brand, they gave me the opportunity to be the national ambassador for Fistful of Bourbon.
That's awesome. Well, and I know Sailor Jerry, obviously, same parent company as Fistful of Bourbon, but I'm looking at those, Sailor Jerry and then Fistful, man. Talk about two fun brands, I should say, to work with back to back, man. I mean, both of them kind of iconic. They've got, I guess kind of, I don't know, just fun. Definitely one thing, about the way they've done things is definitely not lame, man.
Yeah, I think, and that's kind of why the company hired me to do Fistful. I think they saw the fun and the irreverent style I was working with of Sailor Jerry, and they needed somebody. Whiskey's a very kind of, it could be very snobby category, it could be very serious category. Obviously, we have an amazing spirit here, but we wanted to keep the brand lens and kind of the vibe a little bit more fun and lighthearted.
Yeah, well, and I think obviously I laugh because they sent over the commercials before they went live, and I got to see them, and the whole spaghetti western theme, and some of it's got a little bit of Quentin Tarantino-esque, and I got to tell you, man, I fell in love with it. I went, you want to talk about knocking some branding out of the park? I think Fistful absolutely did it, and there's really nothing else like it in the space.
100%. And I remember, so I got hired for Fistful while I was still working with Sailor Jerry, probably back in January of 2020, because we were going to launch in March. And I remember sitting in our corporate office in New York, and our old manager was like, hey, check out these commercials we're filming for the brand. And I was like, yeah, whatever, let me look. And then I saw the first one where they slide the shot glass and the guy can't grab it. And I'm like, oh my Lord, people need to see this. This is amazing. It's not really showcasing the whiskey. You're not being too serious. But I'm like, if I saw this on social media, I as a regular consumer, I want to be like, who's behind this? This is absolutely amazing. I want to be a part of this. So it was really cool to get in front of this in the beginning.
And what's funny is, like you said, that there's very few companies that can do something, produce a piece of content like that makes people want to find out more about the brand and want to go out and actually purchase it. And I know just through what we've been doing in the esports space, and then through what I've been doing on the racing side of things in the real world, people see the content and it's like, yeah, I want to know more. And we've had so many people hit us up on social. Hey, look, trying out Fistful of Bourbon, saw it at the local liquor store, bought a bottle. This stuff's awesome. But it's really a dynamic thing that you guys, and you've been a big part of this, have kind of created with Fistful of Bourbon, where it actually drives traffic because it's like there's a little bit of mystery around it. Like, it's funny, it's humorous, but there is that bit of mystery, like, and with the Fistful, like 5 different flavors, people really want to find out more.
100%. And like going back to that social media thing for the commercials, when we were creating this brand, or when I was part of it, and when I did a deep dive on Instagram and looking for like the top whiskey brands that we're trying to be competitive with, and what are they offering, and they're all amazing brands, but everything I saw was a glass of whiskey next to a fireside, or a rick house full of bourbon barrels. And I'm like, that's great. I'm like, but we got to do something fun here. We just got to have fun, because if you're having fun, people want to be around people who are having fun.
Well, yeah, that's totally it. And I think, truthfully, too, the price point that Fistful comes in, too. I think everybody I've heard tries it and goes, man, we thought this would be a whole lot more expensive than it is, and it's, and I think the price point, they nailed that. Just everything about the brand's got me excited. And I don't know, I don't know how many bottles I've tapped at this point. It's probably, I probably shouldn't advertise that, but every time I try it, too, it's like you get a little bit different flavor. You taste something you didn't taste the time before,
Yeah, I mean, back to your price point, I think it drinks like a $45, $50 bottle of whiskey, and that's kudos to the people behind it. For any of your listeners who maybe not familiar with our parent company, William Grant & Sons, we've been doing whiskey for over 100, 130 years. So these guys are pros, primarily Scotch, but it's some of the best distillers and blenders in the world. People familiar with Balvenie and Glenfiddich. The men behind those brands are a guy named David Stewart, who's been doing it over 50 years, and Brian Kinsman is the guy behind the innovation product of Glenfiddich Scotch. And so our blender is a young lady named Kelsey McKickney. She's 27 years old. She's an absolute rock star. She's officially the youngest malt master apprentice in the world, which is just an amazing feat on its own. So it looks like a fun brand. It's like kind of jokey, but the credibility in this liquid, it's all kudos to the folks that have been doing this for over 100 years. So it's a really cool, interesting backstory.
Yeah, well, and isn't that the key? Like, a lot of people can get you in the door, and then people try it once, and it's a letdown, and they're like, oh, man, I bought into the hype. It wasn't there. But everybody I've talked to at Fistful, they see the commercials, they see the social media, they see the branding. All right, I'm in the door. I'm buying a bottle. I try it. They drink it, and then it's like, wow, this is good. It lived up to the hype. Like, this is beyond good. And I think that's the cool thing about Fistful is you get them in the door, but it never lets anybody down.
100%. And the whole kind of story behind this brand when we built it is, we wanted to get into the American whiskey game. Kelsey was leading that forefront. But what they did was they wanted to find out, okay, what do people look for a straight bourbon? Flavor profile, maturation, price point, everything. And we designed this product around that to kind of hit all marks. To your prime example, what you just said is, it's a very easy drinking whiskey. It's very complex. It's got a lot of huge flavor dimensions and a big flavor profile, but it's very easy. It's not overproof. It's not intimidating. You're not afraid about cracking open a $60 bottle. Depending where you are in this country, I saw it for $19 down in D.C., up to $27. So it's just like, I don't play golf, but my dad plays golf, and I'm like, this feels kind of like your 5-iron, right? It's always there. You can hit it smooth. It's just like you're your best friend when you're looking for something reliable.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, obviously, national rollout just kind of happened. It's starting to get in liquor stores around the country. I've got people hitting me up saying, where can you buy this? Oh, I found it at my local store, things like that. But, the brand and this whiskey, it's not new to 2020. It's been around for a couple of years. It actually won quite a few awards, right?
Yeah, so we did something called the International Spirits Competition, the ISC, and we received double gold in that. And that's a blind tasting, so no one knows who you are, where you come from, who made it. It's a bunch of big panels of judges, and they just taste all these whiskeys all day. And we got a double gold, and the double gold really means something important because not just one person gave you a gold medal. The whole panel gave us a gold. So that's blind tasting. So it's really important for us, especially to justify the credibility of the liquid.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, a lot of people would say you probably got the dream job, man, being a brand ambassador for Fistful of Bourbon. I mean, I got to say there's a whole lot worse jobs to have in the world, right?
Listen, man, I get to meet amazing people all the time. I'm so grateful I have a job right now. In the real world, we're on the road 250 to 300 days out of the year, doing festivals, events, at bars, just talking to consumers, just meeting people. Now I'm stuck behind my computer doing YouTube videos, but so I still get to meet amazing people. But yeah, I'm the youngest of four. My brothers and sisters are all in finance, and they all got husbands and wives and kids. And I like to poke fun of them every once in a while, like depending where I am in the country or the world, like doing cool stuff.
Yeah, it's I say like guys like us and Jason Ellis, who's got the show on Sirius, a good friend of mine, and he goes,
Jason Ellis?
Yeah, he goes, we've got no jobs. So we've got a job, but it's one of those that people look at and they're like, it's a job, but it's not really a job. I'm like, no, we work, but they're like, yeah, but you guys have a ton of fun doing what you're doing. So I would say you fall into the category with me, buddy. We got no jobs.
Yeah, man, we do X Games all the time in Aspen, and I think I met him last year out there. It's a fun dude.
Yeah, he's definitely a good time, man. But it's been fun having you on air. I mean, obviously, Fistful of Bourbon. Follow him on social media. You are Fistful of Terry. Anything else we're leaving out before we let you go?
Yeah, I would definitely check those social media platforms out, see what we got. We're always trying to put some new stuff out there. But listen, if you're new to the whiskey industry, new to the bourbon industry, and you want something super approachable, it's not going to break your bank, it's not going to kill your palate, your taste buds, give us a shot. I think it's worth it. It's I've been in the bar industry for over a decade, almost 20 years, and I'm a big fanatic of whiskey, and this is an amazing spirit. I can just tell you that.
Well, definitely no arguments from me on that point, but lots of fun having you on the show, Anthony. We definitely got to do it again soon. We're up against a time break, and I will be back right after this here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
From the 2018 Master Distillers of the Year comes a bold new American whiskey and Fistful of Bourbon. Their whiskeys have been award-winning for generations. Now they're going all in on bourbon, blending 5 straight whiskeys to create a big balanced bourbon that stands apart from everything else. So grab yourself a Fistful of Bourbon, a blend of 5 bourbons created with over 100 years of whiskey blending experience. It ain't just a bourbon, it's a damn fistful. Please enjoy responsibly.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
And we are back here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, to wrap up our number 1 right here on SiriusXM Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio, Sports Byline, and everywhere else you are tuning in. Yes, this is our Power Hour, so if you are on SiriusXM, boom, you're going to flip the dial to Sports Byline or catch us on Apple Podcasts for hour number 2, because we're going to still crank, and we've got a whole lot more to come. But, unfortunately for you, you are going to miss out on hour number 2. So, yes, that is coming up, and we have, a whole lot more. I just have to say, man, if you haven't tried Fistful of Bourbon yet, obviously we had Anthony Bollinger, a.k.a. Fistful of Terry, on the show. Go and check it out. If you're a whiskey fan, you are not going to be disappointed. Trust me. There's a reason why there's a partner on the show. You know me. I don't talk about anything I don't believe in, and I'm telling you this, I believe that is one of the best damn whiskeys I have ever tried in my life. Yes, we got a Q&A segment coming up, too, after the break or to kick off hour number 2. So hit me up at JimBeaver15. I would love your fan questions. There's a lot going on. I mean, we still got a lot of unknowns about next year. I know schedules are starting to trickle out. I do want to chime in, talk a little bit about Supercross in hour number 2, and a lot of other things that I've heard are going on in the world of off-road, and it's going to be a lot of talk. I know even Champ Off-Road out of the Midwest, they got some big announcements rolling out soon as well. So we got a lot to dissect here on the show and to dive in and to talk about. And definitely want your fan questions. We got so much I'm not going to be able to talk about it all. So if you hit me up at JimBeaver15, it'll let me know what you want me to talk about, so we make sure and we don't miss anything that you guys want to hear right here on the show. But yes, we're going to take a short break. Hour number 2 is coming up. Make sure and tune into hour number 2, because it's going to be a whole lot of fun right here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RZRLife to share your story. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out VisionWheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver here, holding it down. Thanks to everybody tuning in on Sports Byline, the U.S. American Forces Network, downanddirtyshow.com, Podcast One, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. Thank you. If you haven't already, I don't care where you're tuning in, please help us out. Go over to Apple Podcasts, smash the subscribe button, and let us know you're a fan of the show by leaving a rating. It helps us out a ton, keeps us at the top of the charts. I think I heard we're the number 3 most downloaded automotive show of all time in the United States. Think about that. Of all time. Adam Carolla's on that list. We got Car Talk from NPR. They're on that list. But 3rd most listened to show of all time, according to Apple, in the automotive and racing space. Insane. Absolutely insane. So thanks to all of you for that. It is our 10th anniversary of the show next year, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and we got some big plans, and I think a lot of it's going to involve, yes, you listeners to the show for our 10th anniversary, because we want to give back. We're going to do a whole hell of a lot of fun next year, and we want to get you guys involved in all the shenanigans that we have planned. But so that being said, we got a Q&A segment coming up after the break. Hit me up at JimBeaver15 with anything you want answered on the show. We'll definitely dive into that. I got Chris Leone with Power Rankings, double dose of Power Rankings. We're going to talk all the latest motorsports news, rumors, and everything else in that segment. And before we jump into that, though, you know I'm a big sim racing guy. I've got my Jim Beaver Esports team, obviously Fistful of Bourbon, highly involved with us over there. But I do want to, give a shout out to our friends there at iRacing. A lot of you have been hitting me up. How do I get involved? I want to be a part of your team. Well, don't solicit for spots on the team because, we kind of hand select those. But if you do want to get into iRacing, a lot of you want discounts, right? I can get you it's right at about 50% off at iRacing. Go use PR-Jim Beaver. It's going to get you 50% knocked off the top right when you sign up for iRacing. Trust me, it's going to save you a lot of money, and you're going to want to reinvest that in tracks, cars, all kinds of stuff there on the service. And, you can do Crandon now, right? Crandon is on iRacing. The biggest, baddest off-road track, short course track of all time is on iRacing. You can race it in virtual form, almost nearly identical to what you see on TV. Crazy. Come a long, long way, and you definitely want to get in on all that action at iRacing. It's PR-Jim Beaver, and that's going to get you 50% off at iRacing. With that, we'll be back with our Q&A right after this, right here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
From the 2018 Master Distillers of the Year comes a bold new American whiskey and fistful of bourbon. Their whiskeys have been award-winning for generations. Now they're going all in on bourbon, blending 5 straight whiskeys to create a big balanced bourbon that stands apart from everything else. So grab yourself a fistful of bourbon, a blend of 5 bourbons created with over 100 years of whiskey blending experience. It ain't just a bourbon, it's a damn fistful. Please enjoy responsibly.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. And so I guess it's time to kickstart our Q&A segment. The biggest thing swirling around the internet right now, and I guess it's kind of a fan question, kind of not. I mean, we've had a bunch of people hit us up talking about it, things like that. The forums, the groups on Facebook are all talking about it. It's Championship Off-Road, right? The new short course series that popped up last year in the Midwest. Same company as ISOC, the Snowcross Series. It kind of popped up, and they took over, did a great job this last year. And fast forward us into this next upcoming year, the big rumors are what's going to happen for season 2. Are they expanding this and that? Well, truth is they are expanding. They announced that they're going from 5 races to 6. Now, this year with the pandemic was a little bit of an odd year for them, right? They ended up scrapping Bark River and had to run a second ERX event. So they had 2 Crandons, 2 ERX, and then they had Lena, Wisconsin. Rumor is, lots of rumors actually. The ERX, the double ERX date's going to go away. They'll go back to Bark River. They're looking to expand to one additional round. I have heard rumors that round could potentially be in the Southwest at none other than Lake Elsinore. I've also heard rumors of Anago, Wisconsin coming back. Yes, the iconic track south of, not far away from Crandon. I've heard Anago is coming back. So we've had 2 rumors, but then there's another rumor that is emerging out of Championship Off-Road that they are actually in negotiations to potentially purchase Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. Now, we know Lucas has had some struggles this past year. Pro 4 went away. Champ Off-Road, the only one in the Pro 4 division. Lucas announced their calendar with the races, 4 event weekends, 2 prior to the summer, 2 after, basically accommodating Championship Off-Road. So I think it's too late in the game to announce basically a full-scale 2021, national championship with races on both the East and the West. Budgets are already set. But could we have 2 potential series under the Championship Off-Road banner, both an East and a West series, and then 2022, potentially a full national championship? I think that's a possibility. Now, I can't tell you whether or not, these rumors are substantiated in regards to purchase of Championship Off-Road and the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. One, I have worked with Lucas. I love the people over there. They've invested so much into short course. I don't see them selling that quick. Yes, they've had some struggles. But I just don't know, but they do have that crown jewel track there in Wheatlands, Missouri, that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is one of the greatest short course facilities in the country. Obviously, it's the crown jewel of the Lucas Series. It's close to the Midwest tracks. I could see that coming into play, but, is Lucas really going to give that facility up to a series? Not unless there was a lot of money exchanging hands. I don't know. I'm just talking through all of this right now. Obviously there's been a lot of sponsorships dry up from the Lucas Oil Series in regards to like Rockstar Energy and things like that. Truth is, I don't know. I've heard rumors from multiple sources, the same rumor that Championship Off-Road and Lucas Oil are in negotiations or talking. Whether that's a purchase or a collaboration, I have no idea at this point. But it actually makes for some interesting internet fodder, right? That is kind of one of the big things. I know there's a lot of rules in regards to the UTVs and Championship Off-Road being discussed as well. I don't know that those are something we need to dive into at a national radio level. But there is a lot going on in short course off-road. Scarily, since we started the show, there's been a lot going on in short course off-road. I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 years, right? Lucas, Torque, then it became the Midwest Short Course Series, and then, now we've got Championship Off-Road and Independent, and, before that it was Core, the original Champ Off-Road, and we've had, Wasor, and I don't know. It's been kind of crazy. In regards to short course, both on the West Coast and the Midwest the past 15 years. And I'm hoping that we're finally getting to some stability. Every time we've thought we had it, we didn't. But I feel like we are getting eerily close to actually having it happen. As an off-road fan and somebody that's worked for both series the last 3 or 4 years, and Crandon and everybody else, man, me along with everybody else, I got friends on every which side. I don't play sides. I don't play favorites. I just hope that at some point we do have, unified front and, teams have something as a package they can take to sponsors in corporate America and be like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Jump on board. So I think, that in and of itself, has a lot of possibilities, and I think that everybody knows for this to survive at some point, we all got to play, get along, and do this thing. So, yeah, that's kind of been some of the big rumors and talk on the internet the past week. So I don't know. It's got me interested. This is one I would love your fan input. I know you guys are very opinionated when it comes to short course. Would love to hear what your thoughts are. Hit me up at JimBeaver15 on the Twitter machine, and let me know what you guys are thinking, because things are getting really, really interesting. That's for sure. Not only that, we've got what do we got? We got all kinds of stuff to talk about here. I do want to chime in on some Supercross talk, because Supercross has announced their calendar for this year. I do want to also mention that Troy Lee Design's Red Bull Gas factory racing team has been announced. Justin Bam Bam Barsha going to be leading that charge for the new Gas team. So that's some interesting news, but really breaking down the 2021 schedule is going to be interesting. So kind of they're going to triple headers, right? And there's going to be this midweek race on Tuesdays, which I like. So things kick off. It's going to be so weird not having anything in Anaheim at A1 Stadium or at Anaheim Stadium for A1. Things kick off Saturday, January 16th in Houston, Texas. So that happens in Houston. And then fast forward then there's a triple header. So it runs Houston on a Saturday, Houston on a Tuesday, Houston on a Saturday. Then they take an entire week. They go Indianapolis, and then they go Indianapolis again on a Tuesday, and then that's a double header. And then they go to a triple header in Phoenix, February 20th, 23rd through the 27th, like 3 weeks after the Lucas Oil Stadium rounds. They go to Glendale for a triple header, a Saturday, a Tuesday, and a Saturday. Then they go to an East race, but it's going to go all the way to Daytona. That's a single round. Then move back to Texas for a triple header. And then they've got 3 more rounds to be announced at a later venue. And then instead of being in Vegas, things wrap up in Salt Lake City at Rice Ecclesi Stadium, same place they finished out last year's Supercross season in June. So a very, very interesting calendar. I'm going to try and get out to at least one round this year. I don't know what that is. I'd love to be able to get to the kickoff there in Houston and see what's up. But, it's kind of an interesting take. I got to give Supercross a lot of credit. Them and NASCAR were the very first, sanctioning bodies that were able to get events run, post-pandemic. They really put in a lot of time and energy and thought into making this happen. And obviously Supercross putting themselves in a place to succeed here post-pandemic. I know that Supercross is something that it's amazing to watch on TV. It's even more amazing to watch in person. And it looks like Supercross has definitely laid the groundwork to have this event and have this stuff going on, I guess with fans. So it's going to be interesting. I know they have announced that fans will be welcome back into the stadiums at reduced capacity. So got me excited for Supercross. I think that's going to be the hot ticket next year for fans and, for manufacturers and sponsors to be involved with that series. So, that's really, really big news. I guess the other big thing we're waiting on right now is X Games. Find out if X Games happening, winter and summer X Games. Haven't heard anything on that front. I know we had some fans ask a couple of weeks ago in regards to that, and I got nothing for you. That, and we got Baja 1000 coming up a couple of weeks out. We got some super teams going on there. It sounds like Rob Mack not going to have Jason Voss. Sounds like Josh Daniel filling in there. So lots going on. But we got to take a short break. We'll be back with more after this on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing. So why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
Don't just shred your way through any off-road rugged terrain. Get into gear with GSP XTV and let us redefine your adventure. The GSP advantage of quality and performance sets a standard for UTV axles. We strive to provide premium ATV and UTV axles to keep you shreddy ready. Kick up some dirt and get in the driver's seat with GSP XTV. With over 35 years of experience, drive with a company you can trust. Drive with GSP. For more information, please visit us at gspxtv.com today.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver, Chris Leone here. And Chris, I know I took a week off. I was up in Moab riding some of the most beautiful trails in the entire world. And I say world, and I absolutely mean it. Place is absolutely insane. I need to drag you to Moab after next year. I think after everything lifts, I'm going to drag you to Moab because you're going to see that and you're just going to be like in awe, dude. The place is just absolutely insane. I don't even know how to put it into perspective. I can't believe they actually let us take off-road vehicles on the places we're there because it's so beautiful.
Well, Jim, I will say that it is probably a much different view than the one that I've got in my basement with the office that I've set up this year. Certainly less in storage and, less other, less clutter, I guess. But, it was cool. I saw some of the photos from out there. It looked like a hell of a time. I spent the time the Halloween weekend we got some snow up here, which is always fun to get, before we even hit November. And, with some of the IRX stuff, watching those drivers. And, we took them to Hell Lankabanen, and when we sent the drivers to hell for Halloween, I guess they responded accordingly. So that was an interesting weekend and an interesting race review.
Yeah, so let's jump into things. We got a lot of racing going on. NHRA wrapped up. We got NASCAR with a race left this weekend, the finale in Phoenix. I'm actually looking forward to that quite a bit, actually, and not often I get excited over NASCAR, this, but I'm very excited about this weekend. We had NHRA wrapping up and crowning champions. I mean, obviously we missed because of last week. We can't talk about the Blue Water Challenge and some of the stuff going on in off-road. That being said, Baja's coming up. So we kind of got some big events kind of swirling. I think we got a stage rally, I believe, over there, Olympus Rally, still yet to come this year. And so, let's jump into things, Chris, because this was an interesting week where we did crown some champions. So let's roll right into your fifth place on the power rankings this week.
Well, yeah, Jim, like you said, obviously a really kind of interesting week in motorsports. A lot of them, things have been kind of up and down in terms of busy and not busy, right? We've done a lot of... We've been bouncing around left, right, and center in terms of we'll do this on a week where there's not much, and then we'll miss a week where there's a ton going on. This was a week where we kind of had a lot going on, which is nice. So for my number 5, it's not really racing because it was more around testing and revealing a paint scheme in the IndyCar side of things, but he is about to wrap up his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. Jimmy Johnson, maybe this is a legacy slot a little bit, but I am really excited to see what's about to come in Jimmy Johnson's racing career, wrapping up about 20 years of just dominance of the NASCAR Cup Series this coming weekend in Phoenix. It'll be exciting to watch him in that race and sort of see some of the tributes and everything going down for that. But really excited to see him join IndyCar with Chip Ganassi Racing. We got to look at the Carvana car for the first time, and he got to turn some laps at Barber. So really exciting to see that Jimmy's pivot is the opposite pivot of what I think we're used to seeing from drivers over the past 10, 15 years or so, where a lot of them would give up open wheel racing and they came to NASCAR. Well, now you've got one of the best drivers in NASCAR history, and certainly the best of the past 10, 15 years going the other way. So that's going to be really exciting to see. And, all the buzz around that, all the hype, and winding down that NASCAR career, I've got Jimmy Johnson at number 5.
Yeah, I'm never going to argue with Jimmy Johnson. Obviously, I watched Jimmy race against my dad in Class 8 as a kid. So I've been a big fan, and I look at him, and he's arguably, I don't think anybody's going to ever say Richard Petty's not the greatest of all time just because of that 200 win number, and it was a different era. But Jimmy, I keep looking at his championship total too, and I remember back to him taking second place in the championship twice, going, this guy, he's arguably got 2 championships that he didn't get crowned for, So, Jimmy, he is absolutely one of the greatest of all times. He's on the short list. I would put him on the top 5 of all time on the NASCAR list. And I'm very excited to see him go to IndyCar. I love the way he's doing it, kind of easing his way into road courses before he jumps into ovals, saying, if I do Indy and ovals, it'll be year number 2. But it's an awesome storyline, and I'm really excited about that. I did have an honorable mention before I get to my number 5, and I just want to give a shout out to my friends at Extreme E, the new all-electric off-road series. Obviously, they just announced that Formula E is now a minority stakeholder in the series, but the reason why I'm saying, is they've had so much buzz this year. My inbox consistently blows up with press releases. It's all over the internet. People are talking about it. It's got a buzz. And I think a lot of people, when they announced this, thought it was going to be a flop. And I got to tell you, obviously, they haven't run any races yet, but it's got a buzz about it. People are talking. You look at the Formula One drivers. Just heard Jenson Button might be throwing his name in the ring there. Nico Rosberg, obviously you've got Sarah Price, Leduc, Chip Ganassi, Andretti. You've got some of the biggest names in motorsports globally all looking this Extreme E series. So while I didn't have them on my list, I had to throw them in at an honorable mention spot just because they've had a massive couple of months. And this week, some of the announcements they made were pretty top notch. But that being said, Chris, I will get to my number 5, and I got to go to my buddy, with them Capco boys, Mr. Steve Torrence. Now, while Steve did not win this week, he did win a championship. And I know I could make this 20 minutes long or I could make it 30 seconds long, Chris, but I think both of us know the last 3 to 4 years, Steve Torrence has been the most dominant force in NHRA, in any division. He is just that damn good. And, while he lost out to his very best friend, Antron Brown, this weekend and finished second, he took another championship. And I got to tell you, Chris, we've talked about it recently on this show, but them Capco boys, they are the best in the business. And, Torrance, another championship to take home to Texas.
Oh, no doubt, Jim. And see, that's the funny thing, because I actually have Steve Torrence at number 4. So we're looking at the same guy right now. Like you've said, sometimes in motorsport, you have those drivers and those teams and those eras where the level of dominance is hard to put into words. We saw Steve Torrence once sweep an entire playoff in the NHRA, which is insane. Regardless of what you feel about playoffs in motorsport, whether you're for them, whether you're against them, whether you feel like they add to the proceedings or whether you feel like they're pointless, especially when the NHRA is bracket racing anyway, to be able to win 6 in a row is unreal. And, just we've seen continued sustained dominance from Steve Torrence over the past few years. Had the one title that was kind of robbed from him, and he's made up for it by just taking multiple on the back foot of that. And, and especially this year, and I know this year started a little rocky because we didn't actually see him at the first race. Man, can you even remember that far back at this point? What a year it has been just in general. That feels like ancient history to think about that, but, finally makes his season debut in the second race, wins that, just continues with the dominance, wins it under, I guess the old school points format, if you want to call it that, without a playoff this year, just outpoints everybody. And, that's what we're used to seeing from those guys, right? And I'm not going to be surprised if Steve Torrence has multiple more championships in him. I know that it's hard to put somebody in the overall greatest of all time discussion in the NHRA especially when John Force is still actively racing. But we have to talk about putting Steve Torrence at least on that level of elite. You know, it's hard to call an individual greatest of all time at this point, but you know, there's no debate that Steve Torrence is in that elite space of, you know, certainly the best of his era. I don't think anybody can argue that at this point.
Yeah. Well, in talking about the best of eras, that's going to lead me to my number 4. And here's one that she's a badass, a complete badass. And I think that because of her personality, and she's an amazing personality, but she just, for some odd reason, I feel like sometimes slips through the cracks when people are talking about NHRA. But she took what I believe is her 4th World Championship in Pro Stock this past weekend, took another victory, which I believe puts her over the 30 mark, well over the 30 mark. But Erica Enders, I mean, you want to talk about one of the best Pro Stock racers of all time? She's doing it right now. You know, and for some odd reason, we just haven't talked about her much. But Erica Enders, I mean, you know, capped off a championship with a win. And I got to mention her. I got to have her on my list because this woman is a complete badass, and I just feel like she doesn't get her due a lot of times because you have these larger-than-life personalities in NHRA.
Oh, no doubt. And, you know, I certainly think racing in Pro Stock as well, as opposed to Top Fuel or Funny Car, probably limits that as well. Because a lot of times we'll look to those 2 Nitro classes, and that's where we'll notice those big personalities. But certainly another well-deserved championship for Erica Enders, and to be able to cap it off with a win, always huge. I am going to stay.
Hey, hold on, pump the brakes. We're gonna get to a break though, because I know I know where we're going, and I'm like, yeah, we probably need to pump the brakes here because we're gonna be up against the time break and not have enough. So we are gonna pump the brakes. I'm gonna hold Chris, which is gonna be tough because I know he wants to get this out, but we're we're gonna pump the brakes, and we will be back after this on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance, responsiveness, and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We are knee-deep in power rankings. We are 2 down. We've got 3 to go, and I cut Chris off before the break. He's been holding his tongue through this commercial break. Chris, give me your number 3, man.
Well, number 3, Jim. Yep. No, I feel like a Nitro Funny Car that's just been on the line waiting for that green light to go, and that is where I am going to go in the NHRA. Don Schumacher Racing. You sweep an entire season. That, I mean, just think about that for a second. And I know it's, you know, I know it's been a different year. I know it's been a shortened season. I know that the elephant in the room is kind of the fact that the JFR cars, the John Force Racing cars, shut it down for the season and waited to come back until 2021 after the, you know, shutdown in the spring. I know that it's been a different year in general, but sweeping an entire season with a 4-car stable is just phenomenal. You know, Matt Hagan obviously comes out of this with the championship, but Jack Beckman, Tommy Johnson Jr., Ron Capps, those guys, you know, taking every single victory is just an incredible team accomplishment. they should be really proud of what they've done over there at DSR. You know, it's really impressive to see anybody run the table. And especially, I mean, we just talked about Steve Torrence, and, you know, we mentioned Steve Torrence doing that in the playoffs a couple of years ago, doing it over the entire course of a season. I know that you've got, you know, 4 in the chamber, so to speak, to kind of work with every single weekend. And, you know, when you've got something like that, when you've got chances like that, good things are likely to happen. But the rest of the funny car grid, there are no slouches on that grid, not towards the front of the pack. I mean, you've got a lot of great teams in there. You've got teams with factory support. You know, you've got some legendary drivers on that grid. It's really impressive to see what DSR did. And, you know, certainly congratulations to Matt Hagan for locking up another title as well. I know it was a very emotional one for him. Dedicated it, I believe, to his brother who passed away a couple of years ago. But just what an exciting season that had to be for those guys. And, you know, like you mentioned, Antron Brown being able to cap off the season with the Top Fuel victory as well. So certainly an exciting weekend for those guys.
Yeah, Don Schumacher, you know, we've been fortunate that we've been able to tour that place and see how they operate, and it's just it's next level amazing, to be honest with you, to see that. You know, you don't want to talk about the elite of the elite racing organizations. I would say globally, I'd put that shop and what they do there on par with Formula One teams. It's insane, Chris. And Matt Hagan, much like Eric Anders, I feel like for some odd reason sometimes he slips through the cracks and we don't mention him enough, but he's had an amazing year. Speaking of amazing years, I'm going to switch gears on my third one, and we're going overseas, Chris. We're going to Italy. And I gotta bring up one of the this is a tough one for me to say, because inherently I'm not a big fan of his. I've always had other Formula One drivers that I've liked more, but I can respect the hell out of what he's done. But I got to go with Lewis Hamilton, Chris. Another win there in Italy. You know, he's in the driver's seat for this championship. Now he's up to 93 career victories. He's got 6 world championships. He's going to get a 7th this year. I don't even know where to go with this other than Lewis Hamilton. And I never would have thought I would say this. He is the greatest Formula One driver of all time. He's blown all the Schumachers. He's there, Chris. The dude is just the best of all time, hands down. I don't like throwing the GOAT nomenclature out there much. I'm doing it with Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, no doubt. And, you know, it's certainly hard as well to do that when you're talking about different eras and different, you know, just all of the variables. You know, there are people who are still going to say Ayrton Senna. There are people who are still going to say Michael Schumacher. There are people who are still going to say all sorts of different names in that conversation. But at this point, you know, I understand it's a different era. I understand that you've got more resources, but to be able to get on top of the podium that regularly, and I know it takes a team, and I'll get to that a little bit later, but to be able to do that and to be able to make it look this easy. I mean, look, we, as motorsport, as fans, as pundits, as, you know, people even working within it, you never fully appreciate dominance until it's gone, until you're able to look at it in hindsight and say, wow, what we witnessed was truly special. You know, I will say, I feel like we've done a little bit better of a job with Lewis Hamilton and appreciating that dominance while he's in the prime of his career than we've done with some other drivers. I know I'm guilty of it. I mean, my family was a Ford family, so growing up and being a teenager, watching Jimmy Johnson win and Jeff Gordon win, hated it as a kid. You know, I was a Mark Martin guy. Mark didn't even get one. The one that he should have had back in '90 got robbed from him off of a crazy penalty, but we won't get into that. You know, but it's so impressive to see what Lewis has done.
Look, it's the drivers. I mean, Chris, Kimi Räikkönen, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso. I mean, he's battled some of the best of all time in his era, and he's still doing this. That's what blows my mind. It's not like he's had slouches he's been racing against.
Oh, no doubt. No, I mean, there have been some very strong drivers. I mean, Alonso is universally beloved for a reason. You know, and a lot of the guys that you've mentioned have gone to bat in other forms of motorsport and have done very, very well, which, you know, to me makes it interesting. I would love to see Lewis drive something else at some point. I don't think he'll ever be interested in it, and I can certainly see his point of view on that, and I wouldn't blame him. But no, it's to be able to see that level of dominance. It's incredibly impressive. I mean, there's no doubt he's going to be the first driver. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be the first to cross that 100 win threshold in Formula One. And, you know, for us to be able to say that, I know there are a lot more races nowadays, but still, you know, you amass that level of, you get to that point and just, wow, you know, it's one of those things that it's going to be really hard to match.
Yeah, I agree. So that was my third. Where are we going with number 2 on your list, Chris?
So number 2 for me, I am going to go to the paperclip down in Virginia, Martinsville Speedway, and I am going to give it to Chase Elliott. Makes that championship 4 with the victory, and just such an intense race. And I mean, we all had our eyes on Kevin Harvick just trying to point his way in, which it's a shame for somebody who's taken 9 wins over the course of a season not to be able to make it to the championship 4, but the format's the same for everybody. It's, you know, I've started to ride that phrasing a little bit, you know, in just a lot of things. I mean, the playing field really is the same for everybody and everything. But while we were focused on that battle for that final championship 4 spot, Chase Elliott was racing in another area code at the end of that Martinsville race, had just pulled so far away. And you've got to like what you see if you're a Chase Elliott fan. And there are certainly a lot of them, you know, most popular driver just about every year at this point. So a lot of happy people in the NASCAR fandom there have to be to see Chase Elliott now going to Phoenix this weekend and having a shot at his first championship. I mean, you know, Chase has had that he's kind of had that anointed one bit on his back for the entirety of his career, right? You know, you're talking about the son of a NASCAR champion. You're talking about the son of NASCAR's all-time speed record holder at Talladega, you know, and you're getting pushed up the ranks. And, you know, a lot of drivers in driver development fail, you know, especially in NASCAR where you've got the microscope on you. But everybody involved with Chase's development did an exceptional job in handling him. And while he did go up to the Cup level and it did take him a little while to win, and, you know, he certainly was a driver who was very hard on himself at the beginning, he's somebody who has really come into his own. And for him to have an opportunity to win this championship, I mean, it'll be huge if he's able to pull it off. But, you know, a drive like the one that he had, especially at the end there at Martinsville, just to pull away like that, that is the kind of drive to me that signifies that somebody is ready. Somebody's ready to win that championship. You got 2 guys in the championship 4, the Penske boys, Keselowski and Logano, who have won it before. You've got 2 who haven't, Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. They're arguably the 2 best drivers left in the Cup field who haven't. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. But for Martinsville, I've got Chase Elliott in number 2.
Well, I will get to Chase in a minute. You know, speaking of Chase, though, I do have to mention what you said about the development. I mean, and I don't think people realize how hard it is to make it at the Cup level. There's been a lot of very, very good career truck and Xfinity racers that never quite hack it at the Cup level, and they're phenomenal stock car drivers, but for whatever reason they don't. I don't think people realize how much goes into actually running up front and winning at the Cup level, and how many times have we seen these prodigies wash out? I mean, I could give you a list of them, but, you know, guys like Chase Elliott, I mean, another one would be Kevin Harvick. I mean, that guy, you know, obviously, you know, for whatever reason, he's not in. I think he's the best NASCAR driver this season, but, you know, because of this playoff situation, he's not in the Final 4. But, you know, here's the guy who was thrust into the limelight and somehow thrived in it. And Chase, I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit, especially carrying the last name he has. man, it's been a phenomenal run for him. I definitely will go out on a limb and say I'm pulling for Chase Elliott this weekend. I know I don't like to be biased on national radio, but I'm definitely pulling for Chase. But I'll get to him in a minute. I am going to go back to NHRA for my number 2, and they say to be the man, you got to beat the man, and our boy Antron Brown took down his very good friend, best friend, Steve Torrance, in the Top Fuel finale, and what a win for Antron. He's had a dark cloud looming over him for about a year and a half now, and I feel bad. Antron, everybody loves Antron. At some point, I know he's been frustrated, but for him to break through in the last race of the year, take home this victory, do it over his best friend, and trust me, there is some trash talking going on in text messages right now. I gotta roll with AB because man, he is everything you want in a race car driver. Personable, loves the fans. He understands sponsorship and marketing, but he's also a badass wheelman, and he needed this one desperately heading into this offseason. He's got his own program that he's transitioning into being a team owner with Don Schumacher. But for all those reasons, AB, you are at number 2 on my list, brother.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, shout out to AB. I know that he made the step towards the beginning of the year into team ownership, and he's working his way towards that full ownership of his own race car, making that investment in his future, which is just so awesome. It'll be really exciting to see what's on the horizon for him down the road, and especially if he starts, putting other drivers in, once he's ready to step away, and see what that looks like for the future. For my number 1, now we talked about Lewis Hamilton on his own a little bit, and I am actually going to go to, I'm going to go back to Italy, and I am going to just anoint the entire Mercedes team. Another 1-2 finish. Certainly we've said, I think as much as we can really say about Lewis Hamilton without being redundant on it, but I mean, think about just how many Constructors Championships Mercedes has, and that they've taken in a row now. I mean, and that takes more than just one driver, because we've seen a lot of teams in Formula One that have had one dominant driver, and then just the second guy in the seat hasn't been up to that same level. The early years of Michael Schumacher's career with Benetton, some of the other drivers that were in those seats, whether it was injury or lack of performance, I mean, it seemed like a game of musical chairs in the car that was alongside Michael for quite a while. So for Mercedes to go out and to have Nico Rosberg for a while, and obviously Nico got his Drivers' World Championship and then stepped away. Valtteri Bottas, I think we knock on Valtteri Bottas way too much for what he's able to accomplish.
Well, I think it goes back to the whole Jordan and Pippen thing. I mean, Schumacher had Rubens, Barrichello. I mean, it takes two to be that good, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head right there. We're up against time break. I'll throw out my number 1. Chris and I already dove into talking about him, so we don't have to go deep in that. But Chase Elliott, I had him at the top of my list this week. And with that, we'll be back after this on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
All right, and that's all we got here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in, everybody. Dan Patrick Radio Sports Byline, U.S. American Forces Network, Podcast One, DownAndDirtyShow.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere else. Thank you. Big shout out to General Tire, Polaris Razor Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish. Don't forget at Jim Beaver 15, or just Jim Beaver 15, excuse me, on Dirtfish to get you 15% off. Our good friends at GSP, XTV Axles, Optimus Starters, Down and Dirty Radio Show starts with Optimus. And our good friends there at iRacing. Don't forget PR-Jim Beaver. That will get you 50% off at iRacing.com when you want to get into some sim racing over there. Yeah, it's been a great show today. Don't forget, go to Apple Podcasts, support us, please. Smash the subscribe button over there. And we've also got a lot happening on YouTube. We keep cranking out the content on our YouTube channel. So yeah, that's going on as well. But and I am at Jim Beaver 15 on all forms of social media. For those of you that want to give me a follow, check out my other show, Project Action, on Podcast One. Always good stuff happening there as well. And I don't know, that's about it this week. Hopefully you guys have a very safe week and an even better weekend. And we will see you next time right here on the General Tire Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. And why don't you that you're listening right now, go get a fistful of bourbon right about now.